Antarctica, the phantom continent, the point of silence. We live in a world where every square meter of land belongs to someone. Wars are fought over tiny islands. Borders are redrawn for resources. But look at the bottom of the map. There lies a massive white expanse, Antarctica. The only continent on the planet with no indigenous population, no ancient ruins, no countries. This seems normal to us, right? We've been taught to think it's just a giant block of ice. But let's assume for a second that it's not. In 1959, the world's leading powers, bitter enemies in the Cold War, suddenly sit down at the negotiating table and sign the Antarctic Treaty, unanimously, without a single dispute. They declare the continent a demilitarized zone. No military bases, no carving up territory. Strange pacifism for a humanity that fights over every patch of dirt, isn't it? It feels like world leaders weren't making a deal with each other. They were making a deal with something down there. Or perhaps they simply cordoned off the territory, creating the largest quarantine zone in history. The official version states, "We are protecting a unique environment. We are guarding 90% of the planet's freshwater reserves." But history knows of expeditions that returned early, having lost their men and their sanity. There are ancient maps depicting this continent flourishing without a single trace of ice. Rumors circulate about underground bases and restricted zones where even scientists are forbidden to enter. Antarctica is the only place on Earth where you can't just buy a ticket and explore on your own. It is a continent with zero public transparency. And if there was something on this planet that completely shattered our understanding of the world, from ancient technologies to an extraterrestrial presence, where would be the easiest place to hide it? Welcome to the Point of Silence. Base 211, the sarcophagus under eternal ice. May 1945. Berlin has fallen. The Third Reich is over. But one chapter is dismissed as a conspiracy theory to avoid uncomfortable questions. Why, 2 months after the capitulation, in August 1945, did two German U-boats, U-530 and U-977, surface off the coast of Argentina? Where were they coming from? Why did their crews remain silent about the cargo? And why did their routes lead toward the South Pole? Thus, the myth of Base 211 was born. A secret Nazi project called New Swabia. Skeptics laugh. Building a base here is impossible. It requires factories, concrete. They'd be right if we meant the surface. But nobody said it was on the ice. We look at Antarctica and see a white plain, but it's an illusion. The continent's main secret is its shield. The thickness of the ice cover here reaches an incredible 4 kilometers, 800 meters. Ponder that number. That is nearly 5 kilometers of vertical monolith. That is the height of Mont Blanc, composed entirely of frozen water. This isn't just ice. It is the perfect, natural bunker. No nuclear bombardment, no satellite scanner can penetrate such thickness. Beneath this shell may hide giant cavities, geothermal oases, mentioned by the German expeditions of 1938. Admiral Donitz once dropped a cryptic phrase about an impregnable fortress for the Führer in a paradise amidst the eternal ice. For a long time, this was considered a metaphor, but geology is relentless. If you want to hide something forever, if you want to create a vault that no army in the world can reach, there is no better place. Nature has already built the walls. You only need to occupy the space. Mainstream science says the base didn't exist, but ice knows how to keep secrets better than any archive. And beneath a 5-kilometer shield, the silence is absolute. The War Against the Cold, 1946. The world is recovering from war. The US is the sole nuclear superpower. Suddenly, in total secrecy, America sends not scientists, but a full naval fleet to Antarctica. Operation Highjump. 4,700 Marines, an aircraft carrier, destroyers, a submarine, and 33 aircraft. The cover story is testing equipment in polar conditions. But who sends an army just to see how nations start with cold? The expedition is led by legendary explorer Admiral Byrd. They were scheduled to stay for 6 months. But the exercises are abruptly aborted after just a couple of months in February 1947. The fleet returns battered, a destroyer lost, aircraft destroyed, men dead. Byrd gives a bizarre interview, warning of the threat of an attack from the polar regions. Conspiracy theorists speak of a battle with unidentified flying objects or remnants of the Nazis. But perhaps the enemy was far more terrifying and real, an enemy that cannot be defeated with guns. Antarctica is not just a cold continent, it is a place where the physics of Earth's conditions break down. In 1983, at Vostok Station, the lowest surface temperature on Earth was recorded in the entire history of observation, minus 89.2 degrees Celsius. You cannot imagine this cold. At this temperature, familiar materials change their properties. Aviation fuel turns into jelly. Metal becomes as brittle as crystal. Rubber crumbles to dust from a single blow. A human without special protection dies in minutes. The lungs simply burn from the icy air. Later, satellites recorded temperatures there dropping below minus 93 degrees Celsius. It is entirely possible that Byrd's armada didn't clash with aliens. It clashed with a planetary defense system. The continent simply froze out the uninvited guests, proving that technology is powerless here. This is a zone where humanity cannot dictate its terms. Here, we are nothing more than a biological species on the brink of extinction. The Piri Reis map, impossible knowledge. In the Topkapi Palace Museum in Istanbul lies a fragment of a map drawn on gazelle skin in 1513. Its author is the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis. The map depicts the western coast of Africa and the eastern coast of South America with astonishing precision. But the most interesting part lies at the bottom of the parchment. It shows a landmass stretching eastward from South America. This is the coastline of Antarctica. But there is one detail that baffles scientists. On the map, Antarctica is shown without ice. It features rivers, mountains, and possibly even animals. Mainstream science offers a simple explanation. Piri Reis made a mistake. He bent South America's coastline right, just to fit it on the skin. This Antarctica is just a fantasy or distorted Patagonia. Sounds logical. But in 1960, Professor Charles Hapgood sent a request to the U.S. Air Force. He asked them to compare the 1513 map with the results of the latest seismic profile survey of Antarctica. The military's response was shocking. The ancient map perfectly matches the continent's subglacial topography, meaning a 16th century admiral drew it exactly as it looks, under kilometers of ice. But ice has covered Antarctica for millions of years. How is this possible? Either Piri Reis had access to source material from a civilization that mapped the Earth before the Ice Age, or someone in ancient times possessed technology capable of seeing through solid rock and ice, much like modern satellites. The Piri Reis map is an artifact that defies linear history. It's a glitch in the matrix, hinting that we are not the first to explore this planet, and perhaps our ancestors knew far more about Antarctica than we do today. (46B) Aliens Among Us. In 2016, the internet exploded over organism 46B. Supposedly, scientists in Antarctica encountered a monster, a 14-tentacled squid paralyzing prey from a distance. The story turned out to be a hoax, the invention of a sci-fi writer. But, as is often the case, the reality behind the myth is far more fantastic than any fiction about monsters. The real focus is subglacial Lake Vostok, a colossal body of water hidden beneath 4 kilometers of ice. Scientists drilled for years to reach it, and when the drill finally pierced the lake's surface in 2012, humanity opened a time capsule. This lake is unique, completely isolated from the outside world for 15 million years. Imagine 15 million years of absolute darkness, crushing pressure, near freezing temperatures maintained by geothermal heat. It is a perfectly sealed ecosystem, and when scientists analyzed the water samples, they found traces of DNA from thousands of unknown bacteria and microorganisms, creatures that evolved on a completely different path from all other life on Earth. They live where life is impossible, They feed on chemicals, not sunlight. If microscopic life could adapt to such extreme conditions and thrive for millions of years in isolation, who can guarantee that evolution stopped at mere bacteria? Lake Vostok is a living model of an alien ocean, much like those on Jupiter's moons. We don't need to travel to deep space to encounter alien life. Perhaps an entire branch of alternative life has been waiting for us right here, beneath the ice, for millions of years. And we have only just cracked open the door to this lost world. The Pyramids of Antarctica, illusion or architecture? Open Google Earth and you will find them. In the Ellsworth Mountains, structures rise from the snow that look disturbingly like pyramids. Sharp edges, straight angles, geometric symmetry. Online discussions followed. This is the legacy of Atlantis. These are ancient energy generators. Geologists explain, these are nunataks, mountain peaks shaped by wind and frost. Nature can do this. Most likely, they are right. But there is one detail that changes the scale of the question. We judge by what we see. But in Antarctica, we see almost nothing. Antarctica is the highest continent on Earth, not because of mountains, but because of ice. The average surface elevation here is about 2,500 meters above sea level. For comparison, the average elevation of Asia is only about 950 meters. Think about what that means. We are walking across the surface of an ice dome more than 2 kilometers thick. What we see as mountains and even pyramids on the surface are only the upper tips of enormous mountain systems buried far below. It is as if we are walking across the rooftops of skyscrapers buried under snow to their antennas and arguing about the shape of their chimneys. If valleys, canyons, and plateaus really lie beneath this ice shield, how certain can we be that this landscape has been fully explored? Radar can see through the ice, but these maps still lack detail. We see the general outlines, but the details remain hidden. Those pyramids rising above the surface may simply be the result of erosion, but the idea that beneath our feet lies an entire preserved world with elevation changes of thousands of meters makes you wonder, what if the real mysteries are not on the peaks, but at their base, where sunlight has not reached for millions of years? The ice wall, the boundary of reality. The flat Earth theory thrives on the internet, and the main argument for flat earthers is Antarctica. They believe it is not a continent, but an ice ring, a wall encircling the world and holding back the oceans. Sounds like medieval madness. But why is this myth so resilient? Because it is based on a visual fact. The Ross ice shelf truly looks like an endless wall, dozens of meters high, impossible to dock at. But there is a wall far more real than physical ice. It is a wall of perception, the wall of time. Antarctica is a place where our conventional chronology breaks down. Add to this the absence of an official time zone on the continent. Geographically, all meridians converge at the South Pole. Here, it is simultaneously today, yesterday, and tomorrow. East and west cease to exist. Formally, Antarctica is outside of time. Stations just live by their home country's time. Imagine the situation. You are walking across a snow desert. At your station, it is 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. You walk a few kilometers to a neighboring base, and there, it is already 4 a.m. on a Wednesday. You are not moving through space, you are leaping between time zones. Under the conditions of a polar day, when the sun doesn't set for months, this completely shatters the psyche. The body loses its anchor to reality. Antarctica is a place where time becomes an illusion. It is the white room of our planet, a testing ground where the laws of civilization are suspended. Perhaps the ban on freely visiting the continent isn't just about tourist safety. Perhaps the human mind is simply not meant to exist in a place where time ceases to exist. Wilkes Land, the gravity trap, 2006. NASA satellites measuring Earth's gravitational field pass over the Wilkes Land region in Antarctica. The instruments go crazy. The data revealed a massive gravitational anomaly. Hidden beneath kilometers of ice is a colossal object, nearly 500 kilometers wide. Science quickly found an explanation: the scar of a giant asteroid impact, the one that possibly triggered the Permian extinction 250 million years ago. The violent impact buckled the Earth's crust and changed rock density. But consider another fact. This exact region hides a unique geological formation, the trench beneath the Denman Glacier. Plunging more than 3,500 meters below sea level, it is the deepest point on continental Earth not filled with liquid water. Just ponder that scale. The Grand Canyon looks like a mere scratch compared to this abyss. It is a 3.5-kilometer deep canyon, choked with ice, and somewhere down there, at the base of this colossal pit, lies something distorting the gravitational field. We cannot drill a borehole there. We cannot send down a submersible. We only see this object through indirect data. Alternative researchers ask a reasonable question. What if it isn't a crater? What if the perfectly circular shape and anomalous density point to an artificial origin? A colossal metallic object at the bottom of the deepest canyon on the planet, safely hidden by the ice shield. It sounds like a sci-fi script, but the fact remains. Beneath Wilkes Land lies something incredibly heavy and incredibly large, and we have absolutely no idea what it actually is. Blood Falls, the living vein of the continent. Imagine a sterile, snow-white world. Suddenly, amidst the silence, blood gushes from an ice cliff. A thick, crimson liquid floods the Taylor Glacier. This is Blood Falls. When discovered in 1911, explorers were horrified. Their first thought, unknown red algae, or, far worse, the aftermath of a subterranean slaughter. Today, we understand the chemistry. It is not blood. It is water supersaturated with iron. When this subterranean brine hits the air, the iron instantly oxidizes. Simply put, it rusts. But answering what it is spawns a terrifying question. Where is it from? The source is a subglacial lake sealed beneath the ice 1.5 million years ago. Blood Falls is a signal from the deep. It proves Antarctica is not frozen dead on the inside. Beneath the ice lies a colossal hydrological system, salty rivers flowing in absolute darkness. Within these rivers live bacteria that haven't seen the sun for millions of years. They learned to breathe iron. This changes our entire understanding of the continent. We view Antarctica as a dead desert. In reality, it is a giant organism in suspended animation. Fluids circulate within it. Chemical reactions occur. A metabolism is functioning. Blood Falls is a wound through which we caught a glimpse of its innards. And this red water on white snow is a chilling reminder. We are walking across the surface of something alive and incredibly ancient. The Green Continent, a lost paradise. Today, Antarctica means death. Wind, ice, temperatures below -80. It seems it was always this way, that this place is cursed by eternal cold. But ice doesn't just hide, it speaks. When scientists drilled ice shelves and studied seabed cores, they found what shouldn't be there. Palm pollen, fern spores, fossilized tree roots, the remains of warm-blooded reptiles. This is not a theory, it is a proven fact. 34 to 50 million years ago, Antarctica was a green continent. It wasn't just moss. Dense forests thrived, mighty rivers flowed, and the climate resembled modern New Zealand, or even the tropics. Coastal waters reached 20 degrees Celsius. It was a Garden of Eden in the polar latitudes. Then, planetary mechanisms shifted. South America broke away, the Drake Passage opened, and a freezing circumpolar current locked around Antarctica. The heat stopped. Paradise froze. But alternative history asks a chilling question. If the continent was habitable for millions of years, could a civilization have evolved there? Not necessarily human, perhaps another branch of evolution? We search for the ruins of Atlantis at the bottom of the ocean, but what if the real Atlantis lies not underwater, but under the ice? Global glaciation acted as the perfect preservative. If there were cities, temples, or even settlements, time didn't destroy them. They were instantly sealed in an ice sarcophagus, waiting for someone to melt the ice, to tell the story of a world that existed before us. Forbidden Sector, Rendering Error. We end our journey in the strangest place in Antarctica. No ice or snow here, just bare frozen rock and sand. These are the McMurdo Dry Valleys. It looks like a set for a movie about another planet, and that's no accident. NASA tested the Viking rovers here because the conditions are virtually identical to Mars. In the McMurdo Dry Valleys, rain hasn't fallen for millions of years. It is the driest desert on Earth. Monstrous winds blow at 320 kilometers per hour, evaporating any trace of moisture. Mummified seals lie here, thousands of years old, and they do not decompose. This is a place where biological time has stopped. But the most interesting part begins when you try to view Antarctica through the digital eyes of humanity, through Google Earth. Users constantly find strange zones, blurred pixels, black squares, dips in textures. It's as if someone is deliberately painting over parts of the map, or as if the very engine of our reality cannot load this location. Antarctica looks like an unrendered space, a forbidden sector, the edge of the map in a video game, where developers block the player with an invisible wall. No time zones, no permanent residence. The conditions are Martian, and it's all covered by a treaty prohibiting unauthorized activity. Could all this mystery, all these myths about bases, UFOs, and pyramids be just an attempt by our brains to explain the inexplicable? We are afraid of the void, and Antarctica is an absolute void, a white spot that stares back at us. And while the ice remains silent, we can only guess. Are we guarding this continent from ourselves, or are we guarding ourselves from what sleeps inside it? The ice breaks, the final countdown. 10 pieces of a single puzzle. A continent that belongs to no one, yet guarded tighter than any military base, where submarines vanish and tropical forests hide beneath kilometers of ice. A land of lakes with unknown biology and gravity anomalies we still don't understand. Too many coincidences for one frozen desert. Antarctica isn't just geography. It is a vault. A 4-kilometer thick ice shield is its lid. It hides a landscape we cannot see, a forgotten history, and perhaps something we are not ready for. Ice isn't eternal. Ice shelves are collapsing. Sooner or later, Antarctica will reveal what lies beneath. We don't know what it will be, an ancient city, traces of a lost civilization, or just dead rock. But sometimes it feels like someone already knows the answer. Antarctica is silent, but when the ice melts, human history might change forever. Until then, all we can do is look south and wait.